Well, Pilgrim, I'm back. I'm back here with Earth's Morning or Thoughts on Genesis. So let us get back to chapter 1 of Genesis and finish it. Verse 26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them. And God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Earth's Morning, or Thoughts on Genesis. The thoughts of Horatius Bonar. The great temple of creation has now been reared and roofed in. It is perfect in its kind, a glorious manifestation of its glorious Maker. But it wants a worshipper. It is at best but splendid desolation, a silent though wondrous city of the dead. There must be a living inhabitant and a living worshipper. God cannot rest in his work till this is done. And accordingly, the completion of the work proceeds. But it is the most important part and must be planned with care. The great idea has been in the divine mind from eternity and is now to be executed, but in a way which manifests a profound interest which God took in what he was about to do. Hitherto, it has been but the swift forthgoing of a command. Now there is a consultation, as if God were solemnly deliberating upon the great design. Hitherto it had been, "Let there be." Now it is, "Let us make." It is not a command to the elements to bring forth what they contain. It is the work spoken of, especially God's own. The creature to be formed must come more directly from the divine hand than any other. And hence we often read elsewhere, "He made us, and not we ourselves." And with whom is this consultation held? With whom took he counsel? Not with angels, surely, but with himself, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Father, Son, and Spirit. The peculiar form of expression is not made use of without a purpose. And this is the more to be noted because afterwards, when each of the three persons had come out, as it were, into great distinctness of manifestation, so that sometimes the Father speaks, and at other times the Son, and at other times the Spirit, this plural form of speech is not made use of. It is always I, not we. The same remarks apply to the use of the word our immediately after. The being about whose formation this consultation was held was he to whom the name of man was to be given. As we read, he called their name Adam, or man, in the day when they were created. Chapter 5, verse 2. The word signifies red or ruddy, referring to the color of his flesh, either as it appears under the skin or as it is seen shining through the skin, forming a bright complexion of health, the token of perfect and vigorous manhood and womanhood. And hence it is said of Christ, who in the body as well as soul was the perfection of manhood, He that sat on it was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. Revelation 4:3. It is the same word used in the following passages. 1 Samuel 16:12. He was ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance. Song 5:10. My beloved is white and ruddy. Lamentations 4:7. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. This being is to be made in our image, after our likeness. This is repeated in verse 27. The use of both image and likeness is not a repetition. Its meaning is, let us make man in our image, in order that he may resemble us, and so be our representative, the reflector of our image to others. The two words are used in Exodus 20, verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything, that is, anything intended to resemble or represent anything whatever on earth. God's special characteristics may be summed up in these: intelligence, holiness, and blessedness. Man, therefore, was to be an intelligent, holy, blessed being, in these great features differing from and rising above all that had hitherto been created. Ephesians 4:24 reads, and to put on the new self, created after the likeness of God in true righteousness and holiness, Colossians 3:10, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its Creator. The idea of some that the image of God consisted in his having dominion is one resting on no scripture at all. It is disproved by the passage before us, in which the possession of dominion is described as a result of his having the image, and so could not be the image itself. Man was to be God's king, because he was fitted to be so by being made in the image of God. Then the gift of dominion follows. This kingship was directly from God. It was unlimited insofar as earth was concerned. All things were put under him, setting before us at the outset the great truth that it was God's purpose to rule the earth by a king, and that the king, not an angel, but a man, Hebrews 2:6. The further exercise of this dominion is afterwards expressed by subduing the earth, bringing everything into submission to his royal will and into conformity with God's plan and God's purpose. Not as if there was to be resistance to man in any part of creation requiring coercion, but merely such a kind of resistance as he was to have in cultivating Eden, such a kind of resistance as implied that creation stood waiting for the utterance of his will and the forthputting of his power. Then there comes the blessing in verse 28. God blessed them, that is, he poured into them all the goodness and the life and the joy that they could contain, and declared that such as they were just now, such they were to be in time to come. This is the filling of the vessel, according to its measure, with the fullness of God. In virtue of this blessing, they were to be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. And here, as we noticed formerly, is the true source of all power of propagation in man or beast, in herb or flower. The earth at first was void or empty, but now it was to be filled. Psalm 24:1. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and those who dwell therein. It's all God's. Then food is granted. All as the earth brings forth of herb and tree. It would seem by the statement of the 30th verse that the beast and fowl were restricted to the herb of the field, while to man was especially assigned the fruit of the tree. That man was restricted to the latter cannot be said, but the special food befitting his higher nature was the fruit of the tree. No life was then taken for food. Life did not need to be supported by death. Death was not then a necessary prerequisite to any creature's obtaining food for the body. The lion did eat straw like the ox, as it did even afterwards in the ark during the year of confinement there. Such was the divine law, and such was the true condition of creation ere sin had disordered the earth. Then when all is finished, God looked round upon his handiwork, surveying all its parts. He gives his verdict, very good. He is well pleased, and he tells us this. Such is his estimate of creation. It is all perfect, all according to his plan in mind, each of its parts exhibiting the idea which he designed. And again he dates his work. The evening was, and the morning was, day the 6th. And is this the 6 days' work that we see around us? Yes, but how changed it is. It is not wholly ruined, for God has interrupted it in its fall, so that by its midway position it should point forward to restitution while it proclaims decay. But still it is not what God made it, and man is its destroyer. It is man that has made creation groan. It is man that is the undoer of what the great Maker had done. And man himself, what is he now? What is he now? The image of Elohim? Where is it? Marred, faded, gone. A few fragments still remaining, a few torn leaves to show it has been the flower. We can't recognize him as the same being. Man, thou hast destroyed thyself. Compare thy present and thy former self, and be ashamed. Let the contrast between the first Adam and thyself humbly, profoundly, and let the contrast between the second Adam and thyself humbly, more profoundly still. The contrast, how sad, how sad. The ruin, how awful. And you did it. Retrace your steps. Get back to the lost image. Get it back in God's way. The connection with the first Adam is thy undoing. Nothing but connection with the second can be thy salvation. Put on Christ. Let every lineament of the earthly Adam be erased. Let each feature of the heavenly Adam be engraven upon thee. Aim high, yet not in pride as man did and fell. To have the image of God is one thing, and it is right and blessed. To be as God is another, and it is awfully presumptuous. It is self-deification. It's been the ruin of the race. The day of perfection and restoration and dominion is coming, but it has not yet arrived. Live looking for it. Live as men who believe it. Walk worthy of it. It will then be seen what a God of glory our God is, and what blessedness there is in being knit to the second Adam. The second Adam, who shall then be manifested as the head of the creation and the King of glory. So God bless, pilgrim. Think on these things. Have a blessed, blessed day.